Hi again, my name's Ala. In this video, I'm going to be talking a bit about the differences between submachine guns and rifles, because nowadays people seem to be stuck between which type of weapon they want to choose. So I'll just go through the differences of a submachine gun and a rifle so you can make your own decisions, and also what is possible end game with both rifles and SMGs. So I'm going to say a bit of spoilers here. If you're playing Season and you have an unlimited budget, the best armor possible, then an SMG is better. And I'll show you this if I go to my inventory. So as you can see, I currently have my SMGs equipped and some other stuff like the yo-yo because I'm busy leveling it up. But I have two armor sets that I have. I showed this in a previous video, but I have a rifling set and I have a submachine gun set. So let's go through a bit about the weapons first. So a submachine gun is a weapon that is usually faster in fire rate, it's more accurate, and it has a very high headshot damage. So some other characteristics of submachine guns, as you see for all of these, are the power is a bit on the lower side compared to the power that rifles have. And the armor penetration is also pretty low. So you can see like these go to about 40, 50, in the 40s to 50s, sometimes peaking up to the 60s. And for example, with the Tracing Shadow, which is quite a uncommon one, and the Lucky Elf. But the lucky weapons typically always have high armor penetration. Rifles have higher base power most of the time, even with all the old ones where they only have about 40. If we go to the latest rifles where they do so much more damage, as you can see, yeah, all this power. The armor penetration is also in the 70s to 80s. Some rifles have armor penetration up to 90, for example, the Lucky Transfer. Armor penetration mattered a lot more in the past, before we had full armor sets with different weapon buffs and all of this kind of stuff that increase your power drastically. But with high armor penetration, it breaks the armor or passes through it when you hit a player. So that means you get a more consistent attack damage. So despite the Lucky Transfer having 35 power, it does sometimes more damage than the HK416 was, which is a comparable weapon in a lot of ways, except just that the HK has more power and less armor penetration. So with submachine guns, there's a unique characteristic that I mentioned, and that's headshot power. So rifles and all other weapons have a power increase when you hit a player in the head. So it has to actually be a headshot. So that's when your crosshair turns red. And for submachine guns, this is multiplied by 10. So even the weakest submachine guns, when they're leveled up even slightly, so not just S rank like mine are, they will one-shot headshot, which is fantastic if you can aim. But that does leave the problem of body damage. So rifles do better damage overall in their base stats, while submachine guns are great if you know how to aim and you can shoot at the head. So if you're in the early game and you don't have like great armor or great weapons, usually you might be bound to using a mix of rifles and SMGs. So for example, let's say I'll just equip the Combo Master here and go to the range. So there we go. So some people might shoot at a rifle like this at a close range. Shut up. And when they're in a far distance, or the enemy is hiding at a spot, say in Death Platform when they're in the wall at the back, the only thing that the player will see is their head. So having a submachine gun in your loadout is great because you can just poke at players' heads like this and kill them instantly. So this might be better demonstrated in a death platform, but in death platform, what a lot of players do is they put themselves in positions where they only see the player's head. Like so. And so, yeah, I think I could see what I was explaining there. I'll show some stuff of talking about in death platform another time, like positions and stuff like that. This isn't a death platform video. This is all one take, as you can see, because I'm a bit lazy when it comes to editing these days. So now with the weapons out the way, a few things that are also worth noticing are features. So rifles usually are more likely to come around. So you have more rifles than SMGs in the game. And rifles are also bound to have more weird abilities than submachine guns are. There are submachine guns with unique abilities, like the SS submachine guns and stuff like that. But if we go to some rifles here, you can see some of them have unique features on them. So if I go down to what's a good one, yeah, like the Fortunate Steam R. The Fortunate Steam R doesn't say the ability, but when you kill a player with it, the fire rate increases. So if I go to the range and you're more likely to see rifles that have unique abilities than submachine guns. But when a submachine gun has a unique ability, it's usually some really cracked shit. So a fire rate buff, whatever. Anyone can get high fire rate. We've got custom weapons, but submachine guns like the dual Uzi with the gold skin, not the dual Uzi on its own, and the Dread Pulse SMG have an ability where if you kill someone with them, you move really, really, really fast. So if I go to the range again, I'll show you. And you can see I'm moving very quickly there. Another very concerning thing about this is that you can enable it and have the L7 and the speed stacks too. You go in insane speeds. And you could be lucky and stack it with the speed of the yo-yo resonator. But I don't think I'm going to be lucky enough to get this ability, so I'll probably show a clip of that some other time. But when yo-yo gives you speed, you can use that, use the Dread Pulse and the L7, and you could just circle around an entire map within a couple seconds. So rifles have more unique abilities. Submachine guns have better abilities, but the submachine guns that have them are quite limited. So there's only 2, not counting the SS weapons, and 1 hasn't been released at all since 2019, and the Dread Pulse circulates around in the primary chest. I think it's out now. The SS weapons, so rifles, there's more SS rifles than there are SMGs. There's only 2 SMGs and 6 rifles, pardon my breath. So these 2 are kind of exactly like normal SMGs in the way they play. The Hidden Blade does a crap ton of damage. It's just your average SMG, but it has the armor pen of a rifle, which is nuts. And also, the Viper is another average SMG, but kind of more standard stats like other SMGs do, but it has a feature where you move faster the more you hold it, and after you hold it for a certain amount of time when moving, it does this like sieving ability where every shot is a headshot no matter where you hit for a few seconds. So it's really good for mutation mode and also just for camping. But with rifles, you have a more diverse selection of SS weapons. So you have the Ice Phoenix and the Combo Master. These 2 are my favorite of them all, but the Prey Killer does a crap ton of damage. The Fire Lord protects you like crazy. The Mutation is just a good rifle all around. The Devil Partner is extremely strong, but it can damage you at times, so that's why I don't like using it. The Prey Killer, like I said, does a lot of damage, but the bullets also split apart, so you can shoot it on the corners of maps and kill people through corners when they're not there. So now that you've seen these weapons, I'll go a bit through on armor. So because on SMGs, need to think of my words here, some stats at the minimum are lower than the minimum stats they would be for a rifle. So this is more prevalent in custom weapons, but on an SMG armor set, you will be more likely to increase the power. So I've got quad power, which is 4, 4, 4, 4, which is 16. And I go for armor pen and accuracy. The reason I do accuracy is for customs. If you were using the perfect accuracy 120 to 110 SMGs, you'd probably want to do double armor pen like I've done on my boots here. The fire rate is also another one. Not really needed as much as it is on rifles because rifles are much slower. And this is just here because I like to have my weapons fast. You can probably put clips or reload, which is great for customs. You can have a reload that is a lot more sane. Although with Season, a lot of people will just have a loadout of customs and they'll switch between them because you don't have to reload as much in Season because there's only 2 enemies rather than in Team where you have like 6 or more or whatever it's called. No, this ain't Peace Mode. You only have 6. My bad. So with rifles are less inaccurate. So you don't need an accuracy buff on SMG armor. So immediately you're prioritizing accuracy with +5 on a helmet, which wastes power. You can do double power on a cape, which gets rid of the fire rate, which is okay. But a lot of the rifles that come out nowadays are really slow, like egregiously slow. So if I go to the rifles, like you go to rifles that were released like in the far, far past, you see we have 108, 108, 100, 108, and 120, and another 108. So, but we go all the way down, and you can see it's like 98, 79. Like the EM Carrot rifle's the only fast rifle that's came out recently. 99, 95, etc., etc. And so you have to have a bit more diverse stats with rifle armor. So you need accuracy, you need armor pen, you need reload and fire rate. Well, you don't need reload. I just have reload because that's my preference. You could do double armor pen if you wanted for this. For the boots and the leggings, yeah, fire rate, reload. I have double reload because I like to reload super quickly. I have a few alternative armor pieces, but I've got too many to count, you know. So if I go to, if I can even find it, because I have so many pieces, like the Marshall headset, that's double accuracy. Where's my purple gold? Yep, that's power 7. I'm not really upgrading this to power 8 right now because I'm not really using it. But another thing to note is the customs. So when making a custom SMG, I need to increase my pieces. Whoops. I don't have any. This is bad. So let's go let me just like clear up a weapon essentially. So let's just go to configure and I reset the stats. The power is low, the armor pen is high, the fire rate is low, and the accuracy is egregiously low here. So that's a problem because when you're upgrading this custom, you have to upgrade the accuracy because no one is using anything below 84 or 80 these days. You have some people who use like 70, but no point. And clips, you obviously need to increase this. Most people go for 40, but some people stick to 30, mainly seasoned players. And if we go to getting an SMG, let me just go to like the workshop and grab an SMG. Let me just download this one. There we go. and try, configure. The power is like 3 less, so not much of a difference there. The armor pen is low, but what you'll find is that when you have power so high with cards and armor, the armor penetration kind of doesn't matter. I haven't touched armor pen in my 2-shot any range custom SMG, which I'll show you. And as you can see, the accuracy is really high. It's 88. You don't need to touch that unless you wanted to. And you can put more points on power, some on fire rate. You could go up to the 136, like what all the season players like. The clips starting with is a little lower, so you could only click 1 or 2 there. But for my two shot at any range custom, I have it up to 50. That's how crazy like the differences are. And I have effective range 28. So SMGs customs have a better starting lineup, especially when you have armor and cards. So if I go to my inventory, because I unequipped the SMG, there we go. These are the stats. So I have 2 continuous shot cards and power 16, as you know. Power 66, fire rate maxed out, clips 50, effective range 28. So if you didn't care much about the clips, like you could take 2 off and put even more power in, or you could increase the accuracy or the range even more. So 30 is like what a FAMAS rifle is. So the FAMAS kills in pretty much any distance that matters on death platform and some season maps, but not a lot of people are killing at a distance in season maps anyway. So if I go to the range and I go to this rifle, you can see how endgame SMGs are better than endgame rifles. Because with rifles, you're not really getting a powerful custom rifle that shoots this fast and also has a magazine size this fast as well. It's not fast, this high. And also with this accuracy at some points, without some very extreme sacrifices in other stats. SMGs just work amazing all around. And SMGs also are cheaper to activate than a custom rifle is. So you get a lot of benefits there. So if you were a new player and you had no armor, no cards, start with the rifles, simply because they do more damage. And you could have an SMG in your loadout that you can use for killing players when they're up close, or you know you can get a headshot on them if you aim well. And if you start this game, you don't have any SS weapons, get a custom. Don't complain about customs, especially when SS weapons are a thing. SS weapon users cannot complain about customs. They use super weapons with super abilities forged by the crucible of Benjamin Netanyahu, you know, with healing abilities, health regeneration, slowing you down, super speed. Like, don't have shame in using customs. Spend your first few coins and gems and weapon debris, if you have any, on getting a custom, upgrading it and maxing it out. And then get another one. And when you get that, you want to bias towards what armor type you want. So if you want master in season, you could just get maxed armor and cards on weapons or SMGs. It doesn't matter. If you have good items, you'll get master. It's that easy. And you can just work on creating an armor set. So if you're on SMGs, work towards the cape and the helmet first, because that has the power or the fire rate. So power first, and then you can work on armor penetration with the chest or the boots. I would do the chest first because you can get accuracy eclipse, which might be helpful if you're using customs. The legs is fire rate, but if you want to improve your reload eclipse, you can do that as well. For the armor sets on rifles, you'd probably want to work towards accuracy first. So I'd go for the helmet because you have accuracy and power. And then work towards your cape, which is power and fire rate. And then you can work towards the next chest and then the boots and the legs in that order. That's pretty much the only explanation that I have about rifles and SMGs and cops and robbers. It's a quite informal video, but I hope this kind of explains what I'm doing in one take. So hopefully you have a more informed decision on what weapon choice you want to make. And for most people, you're probably picking SMGs now. So hope you learn how to aim, because you'll need to learn how to aim with weapons that have perfect accuracy. That's another thing with SMGs. You just hold the fire button because there's little to no bullet spread thanks to the high accuracy. So unless you're using customs, but with fire rate that high, it doesn't really matter. So, but I could discuss about the differences and nuances for these weapon types for hours. So I'm going to cut the video off here, and you can see that I've pretty much decided everything. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all again very soon.